Oh boy, we're finally up to Black Panther. I'm definitely excited to talk about this movie. And the first thing that I'm just gonna get straight into is the movie itself as a whole. Right? This movie felt completely different from any other Marvel movie, and this movie came out in February. I still don't know why it feels different. I guess it's because I don't know. It might have something to do with the fact that in the movie side of the MCU, this is the first black movie. So it might have something to do with that. Because technically, the first black superhero or first black hero in the MCU, that is, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is Luke Cage. And this time for the movies, I don't know. There's just something about it that feels completely different and unlike any other MCU film that I have seen. It is really unique, and I really enjoyed it. I really did like this movie. Okay, so Black Panther himself was still just as awesome as he was in Civil War. So I'm already invested in T'Challa, Black Panther, as a character already. I'm already invested in him because, as I said in that review, he had, in my opinion, the best character arc in that whole movie. And yet again, he is the best part of this movie. I mean, for me, he was one of my most favorite characters in that movie, and in this movie, he is still just as awesome. I love him. He has done so well. What's his name? Chadwick Boseman does a fantastic job as T'Challa, and the things that T'Challa goes through in this movie were actually unexpected. There were a lot of things in this movie, bad and good, that I was not expecting. And it actually blew me away in that respect. But I'm not going to go into it because this movie, as I said, came out in February, so it hasn't been out that long. And yeah, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I will say, is it here? Yeah, for me, like, as I said, there were things that happened in the story that I was not expecting at all, but those things is what made the movie interesting, and when those things happen, that's when the movie for me starts to pick up. And the movie for me took a little while to pick up. I mean, I was still invested in T'Challa as a character, but the story itself took a bit to get going. But that's not really a problem because the point in the movie when things really started to pick up for me is when the true villain rises up and does his stuff. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the movie and even the villain. What I will say is that the villain is played by Michael B. Jordan, and man, does he do such a good job. This is one of the things that I was utterly surprised by how good the villain was in this movie. And the motivations that this villain has is very personal, but at the same time, something that I have seen a few times in movies. But it wasn't that. It wasn't really the character. It was the performance behind the character was so well done. Michael B. Jordan did such a damn good job. And when you are seeing him act, you can see the raw, undefined determination in his eyes. That's how good his performance is. And I don't know, I heard rumors that he sort of took inspiration off of Heath Ledger when he was preparing for the Joker. I mean, that sounds awesome, and it really paid off because he did such a good job. And I have to say this as a whole, alright? I have to say this to cover Marvel's recent movies from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, not really Thor Ragnarok, but this movie included. Marvel's villains are finally getting better! In the movies, that is. Their villains are finally getting better. This for me, has restored my faith in Marvel villains. Alright? So DC, watch out, because Marvel are making some pretty damn good villains lately. Anyway, enough about the villain. Alright, so these next 2 points that I'm gonna talk about, I think that's bad on the mic, are spoilers. Right? Spoiler filled. Alright? So, please, if you have not seen the movie yet, and you're waiting for the home release, do not watch the rest of this review, okay? If you haven't gone to the cinemas, I think it's still there, so quickly go and watch it before you watch Infinity War. Or just, watch the rest. I don't know how many people are actually watching this review. I really hate spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, I'm still going with it. Don't watch the rest of the video. Okay? Anyway, I had 2 problems with it. The first one is by far my biggest problem with it, and the writers killed off Claw. Yep. Now, I don't know that much about Black Panther. I don't know that much about the Marvel comics, right? But I know a fair bit about the movies and the cartoons that I've seen, right? Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I've mentioned that before in my previous Marvel reviews. But I know from those cartoons and from watching YouTube videos that Claw is to Black Panther like the Joker is to Batman. Claw is Black Panther's #1 arch enemy, as far as I know, okay? From the cartoons and possibly the comics and, they were building him up from Avengers Age of Ultron and then they just kill him off in this movie? Why? It really disappointed me, and I really wanted to see more of Claw versus Black Panther, because they're perfect enemies for one another. Anyway, this next problem that I have is not really a big problem, but more of a nitpick that I had with the specific line of dialogue that the villain delivers while he's dying. Okay, so, oh shit, big spoilers, yes, 2 major villains die in the movie, okay? What the line is the villain is dying, and T'Challa offers him medical help, so that he can survive, and his response to this is,
"Why? So you could just lock me up?" Nah. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. Because they knew death was better than bondage.
So, his message in his last words is that he would rather die like the slaves did when they were being taken overseas, because they knew death was better than slavery. Right. What the fuck is that meant to mean? I got so pissed off about this one line, because, okay, so if it was just the line, I'd just been sitting there watching it, right, and no one reacted, then I would be fine. But a bunch of people, one, even stood up and clapped to that line. What the fuck? And this is what's truly annoying me. People's reactions to this one line of dialogue, why is it positive? It's not... Dude, he's the fucking villain, right? He was... actually, I'm not going to say that. But he was cast aside, basically kicked out of his own country, I think. He is a criminal in his own country, right? And then he kills and murders a whole bunch of people, right? And then goes into Wakanda, takes it over, and decides, you know what, I'm going to take over the fucking world. He is a criminal. Not only is he the supervillain of a superhero movie, he is a real-life criminal. The character, that is, not the actor, okay? So, when he's saying that line, he is actually trying to compare himself to the slaves. He's not, alright? They were in slavery, in chains, right? Because they didn't deserve it. You would be in chains, the villain would be in chains, because you were a criminal. You did evil shit. Therefore, you deserve to be in a prison cell and in chains. Those slaves did not. You're not a slave, man. I'm sorry, but that is actually quite offensive. And I'm not even black. Anyway, that's enough for this review. I do apologize for spoilers, but I did warn those who kept watching, don't watch it. Anyway, depends on how many people actually watch these videos. That's sad. Anyway, I'm gonna see you guys in my review for Jessica Jones Season 2. Oh, we are so close to Infinity War. I cannot wait. Ah!